Okay, so I'll probably be very quick because a lot of things we've already covered. So uh, I'm from Age UK London. We're part of the Age UK network, and although we collaborate, we are an independent charity. Our role is to campaign on behalf of older Londoners, and we campaign on poverty, digital inclusion, for affordable and accessible transport, and for public toilets. And what I'm talking about today, our winter health campaign. We advocate for an age-friendly London, and that's older people today, but older people of the future. We support the network of Age UKs across London. There are 26 individual Age UK, so you'll see Age UK Camden, Age UK Islington. They too are all independent charities, and they provide services and activities for older Londoners, including information and advice on finances and welfare, exercise and activity, and home services. And worth mentioning today, they also open warm hubs during the winter months for generally the over 50s. So this is the sixth year that Age UK London has run the Winter Wellbeing campaign over the autumn. As we've heard before, it's vaccine season, and we run this in partnership with NHS London. We started to run these campaigns primarily to encourage take up of the flu vaccine, as London had the lowest take up levels in adults over 65 and over the whole country. And data showed that across the whole country, the lowest flu vaccine uptake was across 20 of the Greater London boroughs. The World Health Organization suggests that flu vaccine coverage should reach 75% for uptake for people over 65 years. And unfortunately, in some areas in London, it's as low as 48% in this cohort. And we continue to try and promote vaccines amongst the older community. Next slide. So this is just showing the figures in terms of the flu vaccine uptake for, this is for last year. And you can see there against the rest of England, London is a good deal lower, more than 10% lower. And next slide on COVID. Again, you can see that London falls behind the rest of the country in the age groups of 65 to 69, 70 to 74, who are hoping will take up COVID vaccines over the summer. So that's what our programme is trying to solve. Next slide. Just as a repeat of before, of who and what age group are eligible for the various vaccines over this season. And COVID-19 over 65, RSV over 75, as we've heard before. Flu is over 65. Pneumococcal, which is for pneumonia, that's over 65, and then shingles also over 65. And these are all again offered free for these age groups. Next slide. So as winter approaches, the reason that we do this campaign is that the winter virus is circulating in the communities, including flu, and so that's why we promote vaccination. Having winter vaccines reduces the risk of hospitalisation from flu and COVID by around 50%, and by flu by a third, and COVID by about 50%. So that's why we need vaccines. And they, as before we've heard, can be booked online using the 119 NHS website, or the calling 119, or the GP and pharmacists also provide free vaccines. Next slide. So Age UK London, in fact, that's happening today. We have an in-person event with Dr. Oge Iluzu in Southwark, where we invite older people to come to the session to talk about not only vaccines, but all mental health issues for older people. And the idea is that it allows older people to make informed decisions about their health, It's not about pushing vaccines on them, it's about giving them the information so that they can make their own decisions. We do have an online winter health event again with the GP coming up on the 11th of December. And I've added contact details that people can register for that. And then due to vaccine fatigue, we've broadened the remit. So we did have online events and in-person events to talk about vaccines only, but we're finding that people are also interested about all the other things about winter health, like keeping warm and keeping healthy over winter, eating well, and still getting exercise despite the cold. Next slide. So we also produce some posters that are available. I've put a link in there. They download from our website, and these can be used in community centres. Again, it's just to encourage people to go and get their flu jab and their COVID vaccine. Next slide. And AGK produced a really good winter wrapped up booklet, which covers just about everything you want to know about keeping well over the winter, particularly for older people. Next slide. And we also produce a video which can be watched on our YouTube channel, which is actually the recording of our previous online session with Dr. Oge, and that is, it's got lots of questions answered in there across everything, including the vaccines, but also, exercise and healthy eating. And the next slide are links to some of the resources and booking vaccines, etc. And that's it.